following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Good morning and welcome to another adventure in the Veterans Forum. We're coming to you from the Access Studios down here in Nashua, New Hampshire. My name is Bob Stevens. I've been the producer and host of this show since the year 2007. One of the kids did an interview the other day and he said, "You know, Bob, if this one goes through, we'll have done 152. Now that sounds like a big number, but it's just a small number to the number of guys and gals who I've asked, but for whatever reason, they didn't want to come and do the show. This show is being produced in cooperation with the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. Now, that's a program that they started back in the year 2000, wherein they ask stations such as this throughout the country, if they can and would, donate their time and talent and services to allow each and every guy and gal who fought in any war anywhere, if they could and would, come and do a televised interview such as this. That data will then be furnished and forwarded down to the Library of Congress for inclusion in what they call their Veterans Data Log. Each and every guy and gal that I've interviewed, I've made sure that they get a copy of the program. One fellow, a prisoner of war, as a matter of fact, who I interviewed at the Veterans Home here in Manchester, said, "You know, this is perhaps one of the most priceless gifts that I can leave my family. It answers the question most kids have asked their grandparents or their father or their brother, what did you do in the war?" This will help answer that question, but more important, as one fellow said, you know, we're fighting the clock on the calendar. Older guys like us, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, we're starting to become members of the little flag club you see in the obituaries. We're no longer able to talk. So the bottom line simply is this. If you don't tell your story, nobody else will. Okay? I'm not hanging crepe, but it's a reality check. We'll do anything and everything we possibly can to make sure that your story is well told, and more important, it'll give you that peace of mind. There's a lot of guys who said, "Hey, Steve, I finally got rid of that baggage. I've been carrying it for a hell of a long time." Okay? Now, before we start this interview, I got this in the mail a couple of months ago. I want to share with every guy and gal, and you share with your friends too. It's a special number set up in the state of New Hampshire, 211. Call that number, you'll be set in contact with this cadre of people and services. You can't read it right now, perhaps, but it'll give you access to any problem solving that you may need, or friends of yours may think you need it. It's there for you to, but you have to qualify for it. The only need is this. You've had to have at least 6 months honorable service and an honorable discharge. Meet that criteria, guys, gals. This is here waiting for you, okay? Now, today we have another story that I've been anxious to do for quite a while. I think you'll find it most interesting. Before we start, I'm going to ask Tom to introduce himself, and we'll get the show ready. Are you ready, my sir?
I'm ready.
Okay, if you will, tell us your full name, spell your last name for the record, where you currently live, and your dates of service and the branch of service.
Okay.
Get things started.
Name is Oliver Thomas Carver, and that posed a challenge for me. Was I going to be known as Oliver or Ollie? Or
Yeah, but they tell me it's Tom.
I picked the middle initial for Tom, and
Okay. Now,
I'm Tom Carver.
I'm holding up this photograph, folks. It's not too good, but it's what this young fellow looked at many, many years ago, okay? We'll have that into the service. Good-looking dude. You haven't changed much.
Oh, no.
You don't part your hair the same
No,
way anymore.
That's true.
Okay. Now,
That was 1940. end of 43 or part of 44
Yeah,
in
43.
in Germany.
like a lot of us way back when.
Yeah.
Well, now what I'd like to do is go back and find out how this guy came to be. And that's what we're asking you. Like, for example, remember that show, This Is Your Life?
Sure.
Way back, that stuff called
Yeah,
radio
right.
before television?
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is find out where and when were you born? What was your childhood growing up? Do you have any family that's in the service? What's your family life like during school, high school, and before you went in the service? Give a feel who you are, how you come to be.
Okay.
It's your show. You tell
Yeah.
it the way you will.
I grew up in West Virginia, also known as West by God, Virginia. It was separated from East Virginia. Town of Charleston, which is the capital of the state, and had 2 sisters. One is still around. Went to Stonewall Jackson High School, graduated there. I was particularly I found the math rather easy.
Okay.
So I figured I would probably go for engineering, some kind of engineering. When
Anybody in your
Graduate.
family give you that clue, or is it just something you just come by?
I think my father did indirectly, because he was very pleased when I got good grades in math,
Good.
and that kind of pushed me in that direction.
If you go back a bit, just what did you and your sisters do to keep busy as you were growing up? What was your family life like? Did you have a good time? Will you have any problems with respect to living in through the Depression and those kinds of things? You were a good student, other than math. Any sports, but band, football, whatever.
Baseball and football, but never at a level that put me on a team that was worthwhile. It was just
Did you have a
6
good time
guys
doing it, though?
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
6 guys in the neighborhood get together, and
Yeah.
3 and 3 of us played football.
And were you the
Well,
big brother or the little brother to the girls?
I was the big brother.
Okay.
I was the oldest of the 3. And I was merciless in kidding the sisters.
No.
Oh,
It was called guidance in those days.
yeah, something like that, I guess.
Any particular things stand out that you really became a real sharp guy at doing? What bells to push and so forth?
No, I can't think of anything that separated me from the other guys in that case. I remember one thing though that just happened to pop into my mind. My father did some hunting, although he was an accountant, and had an office job and wore a suit to work and a tie, which is kind of unusual in those days. But he taught me how to shoot a rifle in the basement. He had set up a way that we could fire into a old log down in the basement,
Uh-huh.
and just with the .22, and that helped me in basic training.
Oh, yeah.
I fired the 30 caliber infield like it was a .22, and
If they didn't squeeze them off.
yeah. Then I ended up in the Signal Corps.
Oh, well, c'est la vie.
C'est
Now,
la vie.
Did you go hunting with your dad a lot? As you said earlier,
No.
and just roaming you and your buddies through the hills?
He and his brothers went hunting together, and
Oh.
and with his father, with their father. They would go out of town someplace and hunt squirrels or small animals like that. Well, somehow that experience in the basement firing at 22 came to mind.
What you do before you get into the service. When you got through high school, were you able to get a job or do something to keep out of trouble?
Yeah, I got a job with AT&T. AT&T Long Lines, 5th floor at the telephone building in Charleston.
Now, what does long line mean? Because a lot of us don't know your jargon.
A long lines means toll calls.
Oh,
In those
Pittsburgh,
days,
San Francisco.
yes, you'd call up, and Pittsburgh is a good example because lots of toll calls went from Charleston to Pittsburgh.
Oh.
And we had, oh my, I had to learn Morse code. In Pittsburgh was G, and we were WV, da-da-da, da-da-da-da. WV for Charleston, West Virginia.
You'll never forget it.
Never forget it.
Same as your serial number.
Yeah, 35658421. Some things you never forget. Well, that was
one summer.
one summer. I worked at that time. AT&T was lacking in people that were experienced in working the long lines. But they put us to work. There were two other guys in the same boat I was in that went to work for AT&T Long Lines, and they had us working by ourselves on the midnight shift, and that was quite an experience.
Were you trained to do it, or did they just throw you and say, here, make it work?
A little of both.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, yeah. I had the whole Long Lines responsibility for the midnight shift.
Oh, you were what, 17, 18?
Yeah, 17 or 18.
Wow.
And I did have everybody's phone number, and I had no qualms about calling somebody up at 3 in the morning and say, what do I do now?
You lose a lot of friends that way.
Yeah. Well, these were guys that trained me, and they
knew the name.
They knew the name, and they knew what to expect, and they were very helpful. When I was drafted in '43,
You were what, 18 then?
I was 18, and I remember the guy interviewing me in a Fort something or other in Kentucky. I said I worked for the telephone company. And he opened a book and goes through the pages of the book. Says, "What's a Wheatstone bridge?" I said, "A Wheatstone bridge is an instrument that measures ohms in a particular circuit. You got a short on a circuit, you need to know where it is, and this will tell you it's 48 ohms from the pole number so-and-so.
Okay.
And the guy slammed the book down and said, "You're going to the Signal Corps."
So he volunteered your choice.
Yes. So that kind of set the stage
Okay.
for me for the rest of my life.
Good.
Went into the Army Signal Corps, went to Camp Crowder, Missouri.
Let me stop you just a second. I'd like to get a question. Everyone seems to have an answer. What was your initial reaction when you finally got the greetings and then reported for? Where did you report, and when did you get there? More important, how were the first 2 or 3 days when you left civilian life and became a GI? Can you remember that? Anything good, bad, or otherwise?
I think the thing that I can remember most was a feeling of, thank goodness they've got me and I'm here, and it's all
Okay.
programmed from here on.
So you had nothing to do about it.
I didn't have to worry about what might be coming next.
How were your first days of reaction as far as getting to know or be known and so forth? Who'd you buddy up with?
I remember being chewed out for saying "sir" to a sergeant.
Oops.
You don't say "sir" to sergeants. You say "sir" to officers.
Mm-hmm.
And You
But
got to
the
know
bar.
well, I didn't know the difference between.
I know, that's the question. That's why I was asking. So we had one guy said he was saluting anything that came to the front door.
Yeah. uh,
Having the usual standard stuff when going through the line, getting your shots and getting your clothes and getting fitted and so forth.
yeah.
That you can remember with joy or sadness.
Oh. I was a green kid.
Had you been away from home before that, really?
I hadn't been outside of, I'd been to Ohio twice, and I'd been to East Virginia maybe once or twice.
Oh, did your passport let you get back in?
Yeah, yeah.
Where did you
But I
go?
had-
Okay, you started saying you Camp Crowder or something. Let's carry your life on from there, please.
Okay. Had a big train ride to Camp Crowder. I had a bunch of papers, and I was told, do not open these papers, but give them to whoever meets you when you get out the bus from the station. And there was no uniforms yet. It was just a guy with a bunch of papers and told to give them to the right person. And I knew that Camp Crowder was a Signal Corps camp somewhere in southern Missouri. For some reason or other, it seemed I met a lot of people from New York City. And a couple people from Virginia, and I immediately became friends with them. We all had some kind of background experience that pointed us toward the Signal Corps.
Okay.
I was going to be a repeaterman. Good heavens, I've forgotten. What was my MOS? Military Occupational Specialist. 187. A repeaterman.
What does repeaterman mean? So the people out there get a chance to understand.
It was a carbon copy of what I did for AT&T.
Now, was that installing lines or being the operator to making the contact connection?
Installing the lines.
Okay.
And repairing the lines. For AT&T, the most complicated thing we had was Type C carrier. Carrier lets you have 3 or so conversations going on simultaneously on a pair of wires. In simple terms, it was different frequencies that we converted the speech into different frequencies.
Okay.
Rode those over the line.
They ride independent.
Right, independent. And immediately I found out. Well, I had 6 months of 6 weeks of basic training. That's firing the guns and how to fall down.
Up to.
Yeah, up to, that sort of stuff. And then the special training started on the carrier equipment. Carrier equipment was AT&T all over again. Same equipment, put in a different box, painted it green, put handles on it, call it temporary, or call it movable. And you got the AT&T equipment running around out in the field.
Was that transported by a 6-by or a backpack?
Oh, no.
Or both?
It was by 2.5s.
Okay, same.
Yeah. And what was the Army designate? CF 1, 2, and 3. Whether it was a repeater, or whether you were a terminal, and whether you were a repeater or a terminal. I was very surprised to see that the equipment that I was working on, learning how to use for the Army, was the same equipment that I had worked on for RCA.
They had a leg up on them.
Yeah, I don't mean RCA. I mean AT&T. RCA came later. Yeah.
When you left Crowder, then where'd you go next?
To another Signal Corps trainee base.
More advanced training?
Yeah,
different
more
equipment?
advanced training. That was
Still AT&T, same box?
same box.
Okay.
Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. And and from Fort Monmouth, it was standby to be shipped out.
Oh.
And one dark and stormy night, we were told we were shipped to Camp Kilmer. Kilmer was the standby you're going to go overseas in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that on the coast?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. When was the big date? When how'd you get there? By ship, plane, whatever? And how was the passage getting there?
Got there by boat. The Billy Mitchell
Troop transport?
troop transport, and we traveled by
Convoy?
convoy. Had no real excitement during the convoy.
That's good.
That was good. This was the winter of '44.
Okay. What was your destination?
The destination was England. We landed in Scotland, the 1st of Clyde. What a beautiful port that was.
Spend any time there? Did you ship you by train south?
Went by train south, probably 50 miles south of London. Saw that the pictures of the damage that had been caused by German bombing was real. And beautiful country. We were out in the country in a farm. I was in the 3112th Signal Battalion, and I was in C Company. C Company was the company that handled the equipment. D Company laid the cable, stuff called Spiral 4 that came in quarter-mile lengths, plugged together. Enjoyed a month or two there.
Did they have any leaves or there at all? Weekends or anything like that? Or were you not allowed to go in town?
Yes, we did go into towns. I remember visiting cathedrals, Winchester, I think it was. I was overwhelmed with the beauty of the places.
Was it spared, do you know, during the bombing? Because sometimes they seem to be able to go.
I saw no obvious
damage.
damage. No damage.
How'd the people treat you when you went into town? Any good memories?
Uh,
Hoist a few?
Oh, hoisted a few. Went to learn to drink warm beer. Gosh.
It cost you money to get ice cubes over there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Inch by inch, I was growing up. Oh my! Never saw our equipment there while we were in England. Never saw our equipment. It was mostly like back to basic training. Running through the woods, fall down, hit the butt of your rifle,
down, being
roll over. It was mostly that sort of thing. We didn't see our equipment at all. No, it was somewhere, but we never saw it. And then
when Scuttlebutt had you, when you got to push over to Europe?
it was going to be any minute, any second. And I didn't go on D-Day, but I went on D+10 or something like that.
Where did you land when you went in? Utah?
Let me back up a little
Oh,
bit.
excuse me. Yep.
Uh,
I'm interested.
we left our place in the we left our place in England in 2.5s and went down to I think it was Lymington on the coast, and we stayed in what were prearranged areas, which already had tents and already had cots and already had
Water, latrines, and
Yeah,
lights, and all that
yeah.
good stuff. Yeah.
that they were in a woods, so that you couldn't photograph them from the air. And we were told that we wouldn't stay there more than a couple of days. I think it was second day. We went down to the ocean, got in a landing craft infantry LCI. 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and it left and headed out. Just the C Company. That's the only, wasn't our whole battalion, but just the C Company. Left to cross the channel, which had happened week and a half ago, I guess, by now. Weather was gestunken. It was terrible. But I guess the channel is always that way. Yeah. And headed south, bouncing around. Within an hour, 90% of the people were seasick. I escaped being seasick. Not one time, and all the time I was on boats.
Lucky.
I guess lucky, yes. And this LCI was up and down like this. And it would go around like this, and then up and down and
boom
on its flat bottom. And
everybody feeling their shoes.
Yeah. Oh, gee. We ran into something during the night. I found out later that we had banged into a Liberty ship, and
You couldn't see it?
well, they tried to tie into it.
Oh,
Okay. We lost our anchor, I understand.
Oh.
This was a Canadian vessel, by the way, we were in. And an LCI has runways down the front of the boat, and that's the way we get off the LCI. Go down these runways, and they are on the beach, supposedly.
4, 5, 10 feet of water.
Yeah, yeah. But they damaged these runways so that they couldn't be used. We had, we had to stay below during the night. We were allowed to come up after dawn. And that's when we found out we had to go to a smaller boat. And coming up on the deck in the daylight, I had in front of me more boats than I'd ever seen in one place in my
You
life.
almost walk ashore on the boat.
Oh, incredible. LCIs, LSTs, all manner of boats going this way, going this way, going this way.
Was it starting to be under fire, or they got the secured area of the beach?
The beach looks secure to me.
Okay.
And we jumped from the LCI to a much smaller boat that handled about 20 people.
The Higgins boat.
Probably Higgins boats. I don't know. And headed for shore. And they dropped the gate on the Higgins boat, if that's what it was. And as you said, it wasn't up to your knees. It was up to your waist,
Yeah.
water. So, and there's somebody yelling, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. So we got ashore and started to try to get find our own group together. MPs were telling us which way to go. Follow this line, which was the part that had been cleared of minefields.
Now, were you on foot then or in
I was
transport?
on foot,
Okay.
yeah. And we walked together. I just kept moving the way we were told. I saw our company commander laying down on the ground. He'd I don't know, overweight, out of shape or something. I said, "Are you okay?" And he says, "Yeah, keep going." I guess we must have gone back or gone on till we found a place for where we could camp. And with our shelter half and Buddy's shelter half, we had a tent.
How's it? Raining or clear?
It's pretty good.
Okay, you're lucky.
I don't remember any rain.
If you didn't make a gully around your shelter half, you had a wet bed.
Yeah, I guess.
When did you start moving forward once you got in there?
Well, we stayed in these tents for probably 3 or 4 days, and during the daytime we were out repairing lines that the Germans had cut between all the concrete that they had laid, pillboxes and stuff.
Were you under fire when you were doing that?
No. Nope. And repairing where we could the German equivalents to WE8 telephones.
You ever sliced into their lines to see if you could tap what they were talking about?
No. No. Now we were moved around a little bit by as they discovered one piece of telephony that needed work at a time. We would be moved by jeep to a place where there was some communications to be repaired as much as we could. And then we moved down to St. Lo. They had bombed St. Lo really hard. And by that time, the guys up front were starting to move. And we worked at St. Lo on the big pillbox there for 2 or 3 days. And and there for the first time we started installing some of our CF1s, 2s, and 3s. That was a terminal. And we put in our own telephone equipment. And then, after a couple of days of that, they moved me and 3 or 4 of the guys that I work with over to another outfit, the 980th Signal Company. And the 980th became my mother organization. And the 980th was a unit which set up microwave communications to replace the cable that we had been using before. We couldn't lay the cable down fast enough. But this point-to-point communications with the 980th let us go from one point to the next.
High point to high point.
Right.
Yeah. When you're setting up the 4 bases, though, were you under fire? Or
No.
you're pretty well covered?
Yeah.
Good.
They were well ahead of us. So I'm now with the 980th, and we had one day of going out just to get our feet wet with this new organization, and we were on 5-man teams. 2 guys on the radio, on the microwave, 2 guys on the communications that I was more familiar with, and 1 guy who was a staff sergeant who was the guy in charge. And we had a 2.5, 3/4 ton, and a trailer to pull a generator, and that was a team.
Okay. So you're actually a mobile unit.
Right. And after a couple of days, we took off behind the guys that were leading the pack. I remember Reims, in another town that I've forgotten, and then our next stop was Paris. And Paris was going nuts, waving handmade flags. Got into the parts of Paris that I knew from pictures, Champs-Élysées, the Arc de Triomphe, and we moved about 5 blocks down from the Arc de Triomphe, went up about a 5-floor building, and put up our antenna on the roof. And I hated heights.
Was this after Paris had just been liberated? Or
It was being liberated.
Okay, that's.
And the Germans didn't defend Paris,
No.
as you know.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It's okay. So we're a terminal now. We have to put up just 2 antennas, one for receiving, one for transmitting. And run the coax down to the top floor, put the transmitter and receiver on the top floor, put the former AT&T stuff down on the bottom floor, put the motor generator down on the ground outside, and fire it up and let her go.
Did you stay there permanently, or did you move on out?
We stayed there for about 3 weeks,
Okay,
great 3 weeks.
and back out in the field again.
And then now we're at next stop. We're we're not a terminal. We're a relay, and we're outside the town of Spa in Belgium. And it's we're on top of a hill, and now we've got 4 antennas because we're a midpoint. We're a relay. We're in a big tent. Oh, back when we were outside, when we were in Paris, we stayed in a hotel, Hotel Stella, which was about 3 blocks off the Champs-Élysées. And we're sleeping in beds.
Clean sheets.
Clean sheets.
Yeah. While there, did you ever go down to Pigalle?
Sir?
Did you ever go down to Pigalle? Pigalle?
No.
Okay. Just a question.
We did go to, what was Napoleon's tomb?
No comprendo.
Invalides or something like that. Did a little sightseeing.
Okay.
Touristed
Touristed for a while. After you left Belgium, did you keep heading west into Germany?
Uh,
Oh, east.
East, yeah. From Belgium, we went to Antwerp, and I'm back with the 3112, and I'm installing telephone equipment in a combined bank diamond company.
Diamond Exchange?
Diamond Exchange, I guess it was.
Any samples?
None.
That's all I'd ask. You know, only sticky fingers.
And we're down in the basement. We're two floors below ground level. And I'm installing telephone equipment again. Another guy and myself, back with the 3112. And, forgot something. Go back to the hill country.
West Virginia Hills? Or the
Yeah.
Russian Hills?
I'm back outside the spa.
All right.
And one morning we discover a ramjet engine.
Oh.
It's a V1. And they're coming over the hill
Yeah.
on the way to London, I suspect.
You ever see them?
Oh, yeah. 5 or 6 of them. Yeah. And occasionally one would come over, and you say, keep it going, keep it going.
The bad part is, though, when they saw Erpers, that's when they nosed in.
Oh, yeah,
That's
right.
What caused the
Yeah.
problem.
Keep going, keep going. I would guess that we were probably not too far away because the guy is just barely clearing the top of the hill where we are. But they kept them going. So I'm back to underneath this.
We got a few minutes. We're kind of running close to the clock. Go ahead.
Okay. Gosh.
Comes real fast, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm down in the basement, 2 floors down, installing, and there's this god-awful kaboom. when a V-2 had landed in the building across the street from us
Mm.
and gone down about halfway down and then kaboom, tore the whole front end out of this building we were in.
Were you below that, or
Yes, I was
Wow.
below it. And it was superficial damage to us, but it completely decimated the
it gave you a laundry
building
problem?
across. Oh, yeah, across the way. So I stayed down the basement from then on.
Now, how long were you there before you had to get transferred across? I think you said you went ultimately over to the Philippines too.
Yes.
I'm trying to segue into
Well,
that.
while I was down there, while I was down in the basement down there, the German counterattack,
Bulge?
December, the bulge happened. And they pulled me out of Antwerp and sent me back to what was the 12th Army Group, way back in France. And now I'm in a pillbox that the Germans had put in at this place in France. They apparently used that as a communications center too, as we were doing. From there, I moved to Germany, to Kaiserslautern. Now it's after the Battle of the Bulge, and it's just I'm in a German. It's German. Looks like three lovely houses, but it's really a communication site
Okay, camouflage.
in Kaiserslautern. And I was in Kaiserslautern when the Germans threw in the towel. That would be April, I guess, of '85. And then I spent a week in Munich, in another one of these.
Bunkers?
No. Well, they look like houses, but they're not houses.
All right. Whoops. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. And while I'm down there, I get word that I'm moving out again. This time I'm to take a take a 2.5 and all of my worldly goods and head for Marseille. And I'm back now in the 980th. So this microwave radio 980th that I'm with is either going home or they're going to the Far East.
Mm-hmm.
And of course,
You went the farther route.
not by choice.
I know.
We go
Somebody had to do it.
Yeah,
Where did you end up? In the Philippines?
Philippines.
How was duty there?
Piece of cake. The war was over.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, the war was over.
Okay, now let's get. I'm jumping ahead a little bit. We're running out of time. I want to get how you took advantage of the GI Bill and very condensed what your life has been like, and then how you became a member of the Legion down on the Cape.
Oh gosh.
That's important.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Went to school where?
At West Virginia University.
Okay, double E.
BSEE. Went to work for RCA, worked for them for 39 years.
Oh, couldn't hold a job down, huh?
Couldn't hold a job down. Retired when I was 89. No, in 1989.
That's better.
Yeah.
Life
gosh.
goes by too fast. Anyway.
Went to the Cape.
Cape Cod.
Built a place in Katuitt, which is on the south shore of the Cape. And I was very active in the Electronic Engineers Organization, IEEE, Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. And we had a chapter on the Cape. Met a French fellow, Edouard Roger, wonderful guy. We became very good friends, and I found out that he was born and grew up in France, in sur le pont, Avignon, which is maybe 60 miles south of London. And he was in Avignon as a teenager when the Germans were trying to, or the Americans were trying to take, where they invaded France and were trying to take out bridges at Avignon. He later came to the U.S., was active in the same organization I was. He asked of my military service. I told him, and we became even closer friends. And when I told him that I was involved in the occupation, he was very interested in that, because he had set up an organization on the Cape of guys who were retired like me and who had been involved in the invasion of France. And it was he who asked if I would write something of my history and provide some U.S. Army notes on what campaigns I was involved in and so forth. And I sent that information to the address that he provided, and received the medal.
Right here, that's the one right here. Man. I'd like to hold it up so the camera can take a real good look at it, monsieur. Okay? And we also have the citation that you can crank in, Dick. This is it. Click. Kind of trying to wrap things up, not too fast. But silly question, but I'm serious about it. With all that you've seen and done and been expected and so forth, do you feel that your military experience, including your citations and so forth, has had any kind of a positive or negative impact on your life?
Oh, absolutely positive. Absolutely positive. Very much so, all the way. Without my military experience, I wouldn't have gone to college.
Amen. The best thing was the GI Bill.
Yes. Amen is true.
Yeah.
Yep. And I've met some wonderful people. And I had some experiences that as Jack Cantrell says, oh, I don't know where it is now.
What do you need? Oh, here's yeah. You've been published too.
Jack Cantrell, the best friend I ever had in my life. Harry Foster, next best friend. Me, this is Jack's cousin. I forget where I was going with this.
You're just explaining that book. This is the book you guys have written
Yes.
and published. Let's see the title so people can see it if they'd like to. No, they can't see it that way. Let me read it here. It's entitled Before We Go.
Yes.
And the covers are you guys. It's Cantrell, Carver, and Foster.
Right.
And your brother, Carver.
Right.
Foster.
Right.
Now, any words of encouragement or advice, if you will, you want to give some of the kids? I'm not recruiting, but some of the guys in today's economy don't have any idea what they're going to do when they get through school. Would you suggest, perchance, they may join the service to get a good education and then go exceed their work? Does that make sense?
Yes, I. I'm a big fan in don't go to college right out of high school.
Amen.
Make use of that time to grow up,
And become responsible
become responsible,
and respect things.
and respect things.
I'm pumping you.
I know you are,
No,
but you're right on the target.
should be, yeah.
Yeah.
2 words, my friend. No, 3 words. Thank you, buddy.
Okay, Seaver. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, your service, and sharing it with us. That's a wrap, folks. I just want to say thank you again for listening and looking. But more important, remember that number, 211. And to you guys and gals who may be on the cusp thinking, we're not recruiting, but it's strongly recommended and suggested from a couple of guys who've been down the hill and know the lumps. It could probably be one of the best investments you can make. You don't have to worry about affording it because you have a chance to learn a good trade skill or at least define what you would like to do in your real life. Bob Stevens saying thank you again. Come and see us if you will. The address will be on the back, and we'll do anything we can to make sure that your story is told the way you wanted it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.